This is KGW News at 11.
We begin tonight's newscast not with coronavirus, but with the news of the passing of a legend. It's hard to imagine what the city of Portland would look like without the influence of Arlene Schnitzer. The philanthropist and well-known patron of the arts passed away today at the age of 91. Her family tells KGW she died peacefully at home of natural causes not related to the coronavirus. Good evening, and thank you for being here with us. I'm Brittany Falkers. I had the chance to talk to her son, Jordan Schnitzer, this evening about Portland's leading lady of philanthropy and the lasting impact she leaves behind.
She lived quite an extraordinary life.
You know her name. It's on museums, universities, awards, and Portland's premier concert hall. Portland's arts and culture just wouldn't be the same without Arlene Schnitzer.
My parents both grew up here, educated here, raised their families here. They saw Portland as their village. And they felt it was important to give back and help build the community that they felt so blessed to be part of.
To Jordan Schnitzer, she was even more than a philanthropist. She was mom. He says the public figure Arlene Schnitzer did amazing things, and so too did the Arlene he knew at home.
What isn't known too well is she had 22 nieces, nephews, and she was an incredible aunt. I don't mean just sending a birthday card and saying hello, but she played a huge role in virtually all their lives at different times. And that was sort of the private side that people don't know.
91-year-old Arlene Schnitzer died of natural causes Saturday afternoon at home in her son's arms.
She got back in bed and I was holding her hand and she just looked at me and closed her eyes and went to sleep. And at least she was comfortable in my arms, in her bed, in her home, and that's the way she would have wanted it.
Arlene passed away nearly 9 years after her loving husband, Harold, with whom she'd built a legacy of giving to the community.
April was always a hard month, and she said a few days ago, I think I'd like to die in April to be with Harold.
The Schnitzer family will hold a small private funeral for their beloved mother, grandmother, aunt, and friend. Jordan told me they'll hold a large community celebration when it's safe to do so, even if the humble Portland icon preferred to stay out of the spotlight.
She'd say, enough about me already. Come on now. First, she'd say, if anything, she was the one who was honored to be part of this community.
Her son says the best way to honor Arlene's life, follow in her footsteps and give back any way you can.
If enough of us help, 2 and 4 and 6 and 8 and 12 and 16 hands accomplish a lot more than one hand. That's what her legacy is. If you ask me what she would like for people to honor her, is think about the difference you can make to your neighbors, your community, your neighborhoods, and the city.
As you just heard, Arlene Schnitzer, she just touched the lives of many people through her love of the arts and her generosity. KGW's Art Edwards has more on the massive impact of her life.
Arlene Schnitzer's name is known all around Portland. Her name graces so many of our cultural institutions. She is, of course, the namesake of the Arlene Schnitzer Concert Hall, simply known as the Schnitz by most, and also a longtime supporter of the Portland Art Museum. In January, she made a remarkable $10 million gift to the museum. Here's what she had to say about why it was so important to her.
Can you imagine Portland today without the Portland Art Museum? I can't. I couldn't even begin to imagine what it would be like. There was a time in Portland where the museum was considered for the elite, not for the masses. It had an impact on the community at large. And I was very aware of this and really tried to change the atmosphere and the attitude.
The gift is the largest in the 127-year history of the museum by a single person. The Art Museum posted a tribute on their website. In the tribute, Art Museum Director Brian Fariso said Arlene believed deeply in the transformational power of art, artists, and art institutions. She often said that the arts defined our lives and that she could not imagine Portland or Oregon without them. The group that manages Portland's 5 major centers for the arts, including the Arlene Schnitzer Concert Hall, also released a statement. It said, Portland's Centers for the Performing Arts is deeply saddened to learn of the passing of Arlene Schnitzer. Arlene was an ongoing supporter of many of our clients. She is irreplaceable in her support of us. The art community is grieving the loss of Arlene Schnitzer along with her family, but she will never be forgotten. Art Edwards, KGW News.
Arlene, of course, had a huge impact on the arts community, but her reach goes far beyond that. OHSU shared this tribute, writing in part, "Among Arlene's many passions were improving women's health and providing world-class care to those living with diabetes. We are grateful OHSU patients will be among the thousands who will benefit from Arlene's legacy for years to come." Now tonight, we really just scratched the surface of the amazing legacy of Arlene Schnitzer. You can read more about her life, and I really suggest you do. Just head to kgw.com. Now to our coverage of the coronavirus. The epicenter of the outbreak here in the U.S., New York, put out a call for help, and Oregon Governor Kate Brown answered. She says Oregon is sending 140 ventilators to New York as soon as possible. Morgan Romero talked to Governor Brown today to find out more.
On Twitter Saturday morning, Governor Brown said she'll send ventilators to New York. While we don't have all the personal protective equipment or testing we need to fight COVID-19, she says we can respond to New York's call and send ventilators right now.
Look, we're all in this together.
Brown told me in an interview Saturday she decided to send 140 ventilators to help save lives in New York, where hospitals are overwhelmed at full capacity because Oregon is in a better position right now. Governor Brown posted this to Facebook earlier this week, saying the federal government sent Oregon 140 ventilators. She wrote, quote, "They will save lives, but we will need more." But on Saturday, the governor said Oregon's social distancing measures are working, and our hospitals have enough ventilators. In fact, she says, we have 800 ventilators in the state, and on Saturday evening, just 40 were being used.
Oregon's in a relatively good place right now because I implemented social distancing measures early, and Oregonians have been complying.
We learned a couple days ago researchers found Oregon's prevention efforts may be slowing the spread of the virus by 50 to 70%. This graph shows if Oregon schools stay closed but businesses open back up, there would be epidemic rebound. But worst case scenario, we would need around 150 intensive care unit beds through May 2nd. Oregon Health Authority reported Thursday, Oregon hospitals had 291 open ICU beds. I asked Governor Brown, with the curve appearing to flatten, why not open businesses and give people their jobs back now?
That's a really good question. The harsh reality is if we take our feet off the brakes too soon, you're going to see a huge insurgence of cases. This is not just about hospital beds. It's about the entire system and making sure we can keep as many people healthy as possible.
Morgan Romero, KGW News.
The CDC is now recommending everyone wear a cloth face covering while out in public. It can be as simple as a bandana, scarf, or handkerchief. They're asking that medical masks be reserved for healthcare workers, a really important distinction there. Now, this suggestion comes after more evidence showed that infected people, even without symptoms, can spread the virus. Some people we talked to, like Stacey Howard, said they'll wear a mask for the greater good.
Just a snowball effect. And well, if I can stop it, if I can prevent other people from getting sick, even if I think I'm not sick, why wouldn't I?
It's important to note here, masks only prevent you from spreading the disease, not from getting it. Health officials say the best defense still is to wash your hands and keep your distance from others. And let's get a look at the latest case numbers now. Oregon is reporting 4 new deaths today, bringing the total up to 26. 100 new cases were also reported, bringing that total up to 999. Nearly 19,000 people total have been tested. In Washington, 310 people have now died from the virus. Nearly 7,600 people have tested positive, and more than 87,000 people have been tested.